everybody. Mike Mills with Verity Mortgage here, coming to you today. I'm in Arlington. I'm actually in Veridian, sitting with one of my great friends, Karol-Ann Mozjesik, and she is an agent with Front Real Estate. And today, usually when I do these interviews, I do them at my office in the studio, so we have a little bit of time there to talk and go through a bunch of topics. But today I decided to come on location because we're gonna have a conversation about home design, home staging. Karol-Ann's obviously a realtor here in the DFW area, but this is one of her specialties on really setting up your house for the best image you can put forward. So we're gonna discuss a lot of that. So stay tuned to the end because you'll find out a lot of good tips, especially our realtor friends out there that wanna know a little bit more about how to stage your house properly. Or if you're thinking about selling, some of the important factors that come into play whenever you're listing your house. And even though in this market, it doesn't require a whole lot to sell it these days, to really get the most bang for your buck, there's a lot of little tricks that you can kind of do along the way to set that up. So. But before we get started on all that, I always like to find out a little bit about my friends that I visit with, because even though we know each other, not everybody that watches this is going to know everything about you. So, and I think it's always important that when people do business with others, whether it's their friends or family or whatever, the more you know about you, the more comfortable people feel and the better it is. So obviously right now you're a realtor at Front Real Estate, but tell me about the journey. How did we go from Karol-Ann, little bitty baby, to now high-level realtor?
Oh, well, first of all, I've grown up in Arlington and raised my family in Arlington. My kids are grown now, and now both married, just had a wedding.
Oh, that's right. You
a couple
just
of weeks
got back
ago.
from New York City.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the reason I got into real estate is, first of all, I was a dental hygienist in previous life, and then was a stay-at-home mom, raised my kids. Okay. And then I was always buying homes in North Arlington, and I would buy them and then I would renovate them, and then I would want to move again. Okay. And so I thought, this is something I love to do. So I got into real estate, and then I started flipping houses, and I do a lot of, and now I'm just helping buyers and sellers.
So when you first got into it and you were buying homes, now this is something that a lot of people actually, I know a lot of agents that do this. And I think it's really cool, and I don't know if everybody quite understands it, but you can buy a property as a primary residence, right? Correct. And you put down, 3-5%, whatever the minimum requirements are, and then you live in that house for a couple of years. You fix it up, you redo countertops, you get new furniture, paint the walls, do all that kind of stuff. And then you either can turn that property into an investment and keep it, or you can sell it and get quite a good, especially in the market lately, quite a good rate of return. Right. So how many times did you actually do that, before you realized, hey, I'm pretty good at this?
I probably like 4 or 5 times. Yeah. I moved several times in the 76006.
Okay.
And so I thought, this is what I really love to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people, it's you don't realize the passion until you're into the moment a little bit. So when you're in your house and you're designing it, you're fixing it, people come over and say, man, I love what you did with that backsplash, or I love what you did with the paint color. Mm-hmm. And you start to really think to yourself, you get a little bit of confidence, like, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this. Is that kind of what happened to you?
It is.
Well, so tell me a little bit about, have you always, did you grow up in Arlington? Have you always from this area?
I did. I grew up in Arlington.
Where'd you go to high school?
Sam Houston.
Okay, so Arlington through and through.
That's right.
Okay.
And my kids went to Lamar.
Okay.
So I've been in North Arlington for a long time.
Okay. And do you still have family here, or are they?
I do. I have a sister here just down the street. And then I have a sister that lives in Florida now.
So how long ago did you actually get started in real estate? Like, how long have you been doing it?
I've had my license for 14 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you were a hygienist all the way through before that?
Right.
When your kids were kind of growing up?
Well, no.
Oh, no, you stayed home. That's right.
Yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so you go from working as a hygienist to a stay-at-home mom, now to agent. So tell me about being a stay-at-home mom, and how did that?
Well, I actually, of course, stayed really busy with the kids, and
Yes.
I volunteered a lot.
Yes.
And I was on the board at the Boys and Girls Club. Loved that.
Yeah.
And
do you think that the relationships that you developed as being a stay-at-home mom and volunteering your time and being involved in the community, has that kind of helped you?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So the relationships that you made there have really carried over into your real estate world and have helped you, develop that business also.
Correct.
So would you tell somebody that was going into real estate, are thinking about it, where's the best place to put their time, when they're first starting out?
I think just building relationships and keeping those relationships.
Yeah. It's not an easy thing to do, right? Especially if you're not doing it, some people it comes naturally, because they're outgoing, they have an outgoing personality, they want to spend a lot of time around other people. But for some people, that's a little bit harder thing to do. Did you find that easy or hard for you?
I think it was easy. I have a great group of friends and of course family growing up here, so it's been easy. But of course, once your kids, graduate and go on with their lives, but a lot of my friends now are the friends and the relationships that I started back when the kids were growing up.
When they were young. Yeah. My wife and I, Susan and I were in that stage where, my daughter's 14 and my son's 12. And so, we're involved in all the sports and after school activities and, they have a busier social calendar than we do most of the time. So it's funny how most of the friends that you acquire over that period of time are just, parents of the kids that you're friends that they were friends with.
And you'll find that you will remain friends with those people.
Yes. Well, because you grew up the formative years, we all sit around and remember when they were this little, remember when they did this, that's mom and dad's favorite thing to do is reminisce. Facebook does a really good job at that by popping up photos every couple years. And Susan will run into me and show me a picture and be like, you remember when they were this little? And so, I definitely know about that. There's no doubt. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about kind of why we're here. So obviously, Karol-Ann is a realtor here in the area. So if you are looking to buy or sell your home, please reach out to her. Now, just right up front, so what's the easiest way to get in touch with you? The social media is the phone number, the email.
I have Instagram page, Facebook page, my phone number, 214-693-6034. And then my email address is ka@KarolAnnHomes.com, which we can spell out eventually.
Yeah, we'll have it. It'll show up right there on the screen if you put it out there. So she works with a brokerage here locally called Front Real Estate. And actually, you and my wife both work for the same brokerage.
We do.
So,
we shared an office together.
That is right. Yes. And by the way, it was the best looking office.
It was really cute, wasn't it?
It was. Yes. I don't know that the chairs were incredibly comfortable because I went in and used them a few times, but they look good.
Yeah, we had the hot pink chair.
That's right.
Yes.
So your true passion when it comes to real estate, because you said that earlier when you were going into homes that you were buying and selling before you actually became an agent, was the design factor. You loved going into a house and really looking at what it could be and putting your special touch on there. So can you talk a little bit about, when you walk into a place, because this isn't easy for most people. Not everybody has a vision, right? It's very important to have that vision. So what is it sometimes that stands out to you about properties? Like, what are you looking at specifically when you go into a property and can say, okay, I can improve these things?
Right. I think, first of all, you look at easy fixes are, flooring, paint, hardware, light, bright. Those are just easy fixes.
When you say hardware, what do you mean?
Cabinet hardware.
Okay.
Door hardware.
Okay.
It's really not that expensive to do, but it makes
it pop a lot better when
difference.
You do it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about whenever you go in and you set up a home to sell. Okay. So obviously you have a great eye for seeing design, seeing what the potential of a place can be. And as an agent going in and helping a seller decide, how they're going to sell and when they're going to sell and how much. Talk about, the difference between, these days you can sell your house because the market is so hot. Can you list your house and get it sold in 5 days or a week? Yes. Okay. I never want to say, can you do it without an agent because it's a really bad idea, but it happens. People sell their houses all the time for sale by owners. They list them, whatever. But what are they leaving on the table when they do that kind of thing?
I definitely think they're leaving money on the table.
Right. And why is that? Can you speak to that?
Well, I think because you possibly are going to have multiple offers, but maybe not. I think whenever you're having your photos done and people are seeing those photos online, that's the first impression. Those are the people that you're going to get to come into the home.
Right.
And if they're not seeing great photos, they may not ever walk into the house.
Right.
And so I'm really picky about getting the house totally prepared before we have pictures done and go live.
Right. So I hear a lot of times about when they talk about staging homes, a lot of agents will talk about making sure you take down your personal photos in a house. So tell us a little bit of why, and relate it to the design aspect. Why is it important when you're listing or selling your home to not have, your family portrait above the fireplace?
Right. Well, you just want to depersonalize it as much as possible because you want people to be able to picture themselves in the home for years to come. And it's more difficult for them if they're seeing a bunch of family pictures. And then also, I will say, as a buyer's agent too, your buyers get distracted sometimes looking at your pictures and you want them to be able to really focus on the home itself.
Yeah. You want them to see the house where they are going to live, not the house where you live.
Oh, that's such a cute baby picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Which sometimes it's a little tough, especially when it comes to kids' rooms and you walk into a little girl's room and it's bright pink and there's, it can be a little bit hard to change that in somebody's eyes, which kind of leads us to our next topic a little bit. And that is something that you have told me about, which is digital staging, right? So the traditional way, well, tell everybody about what's the general traditional way before digital came along. How would you stage a home?
Well, there's several levels of staging. And first of all, not that this is staging, but you'll want to make sure, you depersonalize the home, and then also make sure it's clean. Mm-hmm. And then also just declutter, remove a lot of the things on the countertops, bath mats on the floor. If you've got beautiful floors, don't cover them up with a bunch of rugs. It just, it chops up the room. So like even in my home now, I'm getting ready to list my house, but I've taken up my rugs because I have these beautiful wood floors. Mm-hmm. Also, while you're packing up and you're depersonalizing and you're decluttering, go ahead and start packing these things up. If you're not going to be using them, it's just that much less stuff that you have to
slowly
do, when actually you are going to be physically moving.
Right.
So we kind of start with that, and then, move out bigger items of furniture, so that, again, make the space look bigger, move furniture around. A lot of it's pretty easy stuff, but it makes a lot of impact. The thing I've been doing lately on empty properties, those can be difficult because although you have a blank slate to work with, most people don't have the eye to picture how that room might be laid out.
Right.
So what I've been doing is using virtual staging and virtual renovation too. Like if for an older house that needs updating, again, kitchen needs updating and people can't visualize what that is going to look like. So again, you can use virtual updating as well. And we'll see some of the pictures I've done before. But back to the virtual staging, you take a picture of a room, send it off and have it virtually staged. Mm-hmm. And so what I'll do online is I'll put those in the MLS, but also what I'll do is have that picture blown up on foam board and put it on an easel in the room. So when people come into the home, they can actually see, oh wow, this is the way this could look with furniture.
Right. It's hard, I think, when you're staging a house for somebody, especially if they're living in it currently, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're still there before they sell it, you got to kind of work with what you have, right?
Exactly.
You got to work with the furniture you have. You have to work with the pictures and the lamps and all the stuff that they already own. Now, do you ever, do you have like a secret stash in your house of like decorations that you'll take with you and set up in certain spaces?
I absolutely do. I actually have a storage unit.
Oh wow!
With items, yes.
So you have a whole bevy treasure trove of stuff.
Yes, and I'll go digging through and see what I can come up with. Simple, linens, in the bathrooms, towels. Just bring simple things. Mantle pieces.
Right.
So again, it really doesn't have to be a lot.
Right.
But
simplicity is better than not, right?
Correct.
And you were talking about countertop cluttering. I get in trouble a lot while we're talking. I'm gonna pull this up, but I get in trouble a lot at my house because the toaster or the coffee maker that I want to make coffee for or toast for is sitting on the counter, and I want to leave it on the counter, but my wife is not going to allow that. So all things have to be removed constantly. So we're in this like constant battle of who's gonna win of what's on the counter and what's not. But it's one of those things where when you go to a home and especially like we're looking right now at your place, and we'll show this here in just a little bit, but your countertops are very simple. You've got a couple cutting boards behind your stove, you've got the knives, you've got a little fruit bowl that's made out of wood, and then you've got a coffee maker, and that's it. And the simplicity of that, again, like you were saying earlier, gives people the ability to see what they want to see. And so I do want you to say a little bit about, because I think sometimes when you have sellers and you're like, okay, like how do you approach that conversation without making them feel like your stuff is terrible, you need to get rid of it?
Well, actually, a lot of the times I have a professional come in and do the consultation. So
you push the bad news to somebody else.
With my listings, because I don't want to be the bad guy. And everybody takes it, most people take it so well.
Right.
But again, although I love staging and it's a passion of mine, I'm not a professional. And so I do like to have my professional stager.
You want someone to come in and take the brunt of, I'm sorry, we're just going off their recommendation.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. That's pretty smart. So all you realtors out there, even though you may know how to stage and you may know what's necessary, sometimes it's not the worst thing in the world to have somebody else come in as a third party and give their opinion, so you're not the bad guy.
Correct.
Right. Because again, truly, sellers, buyers out there, the agent is not telling you that your house is ugly or that they don't like, your couch or, what you have on the counter. What they're trying to tell you is, here is the best way to get the most money for your home by setting it up this way, right?
Right.
That's really the end goal.
Well, and I think there's a misconception. There's definitely a difference between decorating and staging.
Right.
So decorating is just your personal preferences and the way that you feel at home in your house, and staging is we're just trying to use it to appeal to the masses.
Right. Right. You're trying to make it as simple and maybe bland is not the right word, but just vanilla, maybe?
Right. Neutral.
Right.
Clean.
Right.
That kind of thing.
So that way there's nothing that somebody projects their thoughts onto how it's supposed to look because you've got some kind of weird piece that doesn't quite fit.
Correct.
Right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the virtual staging now. So I know that obviously if you have a house that's empty, that doesn't have furniture in it, then virtual staging plays a big role because that can be presented on the listing pictures. Now, to be clear, whenever you do virtual staging on the listing photos, you have to state that, right?
Right. So even at the bottom of this picture that we'll see, it says this room has been virtually staged.
Okay, so so you guys will see this at home when you're watching this, but we're just kind of looking at some pictures right now. So this first one, we've got a great couch, TV above. So tell us a little bit about, like, can you say, I see this a lot. You see like the little plant, but then it's got some stuff there. And then over here, you've got a picture and you've got a little lighthouse, a little lantern or whatever. And so there's always this balance of, there's a little tchotchke and then maybe some square. So can you talk a little bit about
I just think it's balance. You just want balance in the room. And then also, again, for people to be able to picture themselves in there and how to lay out a room, I think that this really speaks to that, because if you see the before picture with that empty room, it's just really hard to think, okay, where is my couch going to go? Where am I going to put a chair?
Right.
It's easy to know where the TVs might be, but other than that,
TV goes above the fireplace, but outside of that, how do you know where things? So also too, so you've got, in this picture right here, this is virtual. You've got the candlesticks on one side, but it's not really on the other. And I think a lot of people would say, well, don't you want to balance that out? But I think there's a thought that isn't necessarily the best way to go.
It's not necessarily. It can be both ways. It's just whatever.
Right.
Whatever
so to have it perfectly balanced, because you want to have a little bit of difference, right?
You want some interest. Yeah, you want some interest there.
Yeah. Okay. So then we go to the original photo, and you can see, anybody looking at this, that obviously you have a really nice floors, so that's highlighted. You don't get to see that as much in the virtually staged photo, but then you can see that you're basically dealing with a blank canvas.
Correct. And so what I did in this room, again, talking about the foam board picture of the staged room. So I had that on an easel in this room with the stage.
Oh, okay. So as buyers would come through, you'd say, hey, this is what it could look like. This is how it's set up. So that way it doesn't just seem like a drab, empty room.
Right. Even though they had seen the pictures online, you can still, as they're touring the home.
So here's another one of a bedroom. So this is a master bedroom. Now it's crazy because looking at this picture, nothing about it looks fake.
They
looks
do a great job.
100%. Real. I would have no idea. I would have thought, oh, they must have taken this before they moved everything out. So talk a little bit about, you've got the bathroom cracked open a little bit there. Was that intentional?
Just so that you could see where the bathroom,
Gotcha.
where the bathroom was. This master bedroom was very long and just narrow. So it was really, I thought it was really important to be able to show how the room could be laid out and where the bed could go. And because it could have actually been on the other wall, which you can't see, that the sitting area is there. Because
it's hard, I'm obviously have no knowledge of this at all, but space is a hard thing. It's hard to realize, when you're walking in your front door and you have a gap, an area right to the right of the entryway, what do you do with that? Because do you want it empty? Do you want to put something there? And I think, using this type of software do you ever sit down with people and kind of move stuff around and show them?
No, actually with this, there's a couple of different companies that I use. I basically just say, kind of the theme that I want to go with, traditional, modern, transitional, and basically tell them the pieces of furniture that I want in there, and then they lay it out, which is super cool.
So they do it for you. You just kind of give them a general theme and they'll put it together.
Very easy.
Okay. And for all of our realtor friends out there, is that relatively inexpensive?
It's not bad at all.
It's not bad.
It's probably like $25.
Oh, okay. So that's not bad at all.
No,
especially if you just want to at least use one room to show what you could do with it and then give people a concept or an idea of the kind of style. Now, let me ask you this. After you've sold somebody a home, right? You go through all this. How many people have reached out to you and say, "Hey, Karol-Ann, can you help us? We want to buy some furniture."
They do. And actually, I've been asked to do a staging job for one of the houses that we staged. It was one of my flip houses, and the realtor loved the staging so much that she was like, "Will y'all please do it?" And it's a partner of mine, Leanne Rand. She's with Front now. She's with Front now too, and so we have done some flips together. Yeah. And so anyway, so we ended up doing her staging for one of her listings, although it's not really what we do.
Right.
We really just do it for our own stuff. For sure. Anyway.
Have you ever thought about going into doing staging also, or is it just stay with what you're good at?
I think I'm just going to stay with what I'm good at. And it's
you don't need more jobs.
It's pretty physical too. Yeah. And
because you're moving furniture around.
I'm getting too old.
Yeah. Well, another thing I want to do is I want to show. So you're getting ready to list your house.
I am.
Right. So we are here in Veridian, and Karol-Ann's done a ton of business in Veridian. Veridian, if you've never been to Veridian before, it's like a home world wonderland. There are every different type of property that you can imagine. You guys have condos, you have townhomes, you have single families, you have small lot lines, they have big lot lines, you have schools and ponds. And so tell everybody a little bit about Veridian.
Now, Veridian's great. You hit it all. It's a great lifestyle. The walking around is just beautiful. We've got the lake, and it's just an awesome community.
I see a lot of so my in full disclosure, my aunt Gail Karol's, she lives here in Veridian as well, and her and Karol-Ann are buddies.
Yes.
And they hang out from time to time. And I do think, aren't there like some social, I don't want to call it a club, but isn't there like a place where you can go here in Veridian and kind of hang out or something like that?
Well, they used to have, and there probably still is. It's just not with COVID. We're just not seeing all of the social activities. Yeah. They're starting to ramp back up.
Right. But there used to be a lot of social activities.
Totally a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things about Veridian is when you live here, it's amazing how quickly everybody else that lives here becomes like your best friends, right? Because you're walking around, you see everybody, you're in the neighborhood cruising around, and so you tend to bump into a lot of people, and it's a really it's a tight-knit group.
It is. And there's also a 55 and over community in Veridian now called the Elements. And I think their social has really ramped up.
Really?
They've got a lot going on.
Okay. Now, I noticed pulling into, there's a whole bunch of new construction that's happening on, I guess, is that the south end? Is that right? My direction is always terrible. And then even across the street, I saw maybe that's more commercial stuff, but they've been doing a lot around.
No, the building out here is just crazy.
And they keep going.
Keep going.
So if you're having a hard time finding a house because there's not very many, in Viridian, there's more than enough.
There might be.
Yes.
And there's also the island. I don't know if you noticed, out on the island, they're building there.
Oh, really? Oh,
some
wow.
beautiful homes.
Okay.
And some townhomes too.
So those are like the showcase houses too.
They're really nice.
All right. So we're in Viridian. You're getting ready to list your home. So tell us a few things about your house. So that way, what I'm going to do is we'll kind of show, I'll walk through and we'll show some different features of it. But I want you to talk a little bit about how many bedrooms, square footage, all that kind of stuff. If you want to talk about what you're asking for it, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah. So I'm probably not going to list it till after Christmas, but I will say I have started my Christmas decorating.
Okay.
And so there's a little bit of that going on here already, but I did have my photography done before because of course you want your pictures online to be timeless.
Right.
And so this house is been beautifully designed. I didn't design it. A friend of mine built it, and she's a decorator, and so I got to be the recipient of all her beautiful design work.
Nice.
So it's approximately 3,300 square feet. It's 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bath.
Okay.
It's hardwoods throughout.
Okay.
There's no carpet. Beautiful marble countertops. Very light, bright, neutral colors.
Are you going to convey much with the property, like any of the furniture or appliances?
Probably. Of course, all the appliances will stay. The refrigerator's built in.
Okay.
Which a lot of people don't understand that, especially coming from out of town, that unless the refrigerator's built in, it does not convey.
No. Sometimes you'll show up like, our house is great, and where'd the fridge go?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't built in, so it's gone. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll walk through a little bit and kind of check out the area. You tell me a little bit about different spots, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good. So I call this my look and study because I like it to keep it nice and clean and tidy. And again, before I decided to list the house, or I ended up having a lot of personal photography and photos up there. So again, depersonalizing the space, I took all of the pictures down.
We got our Christmas tree up.
We got the Christmas tree, but I did have the pictures done before the Christmas tree went up.
I think the Christmas tree looks great, and everybody's excited about it.
Sometimes people can keep it up year round.
That's right. All right, so we walk into the main living area here.
And again, I've taken up a lot of my rugs just because I wanted to showcase the beautiful hardwood floors there throughout this home.
So you used to, before you started setting it up to stage it, where did you have rugs at? Underneath the furniture in there and then the dining room?
Yes. And actually even, and some people might say that it makes it warmer, and I do agree with that, but I really just love the hardwood.
Just personal opinion.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about the dining area.
So the dining area, just clean, no personal photos, just a clean.
You got your matching lampshades for the I guess you wouldn't call that a chandelier. It's just a light fixture, and then your matching shades on the lamps. I notice this stuff now because I get told how important these things are because I don't understand colors and color schemes. So you have a little bar area here too, yes?
I do. And so, again, just everything has its place. Of course, a lot of this would have been out on the counters before, but everything's put away.
Where'd you find those mirrors? Those are awesome.
Oh, I think I got them in the design district.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Okay. Is that
in a showroom? Yes.
So Susan goes around a lot, and she will, anytime we buy properties and start having to decorate them, she doesn't have necessarily a plan. She just kind of has a general theme, and she goes around and just buys random stuff with no idea where it's going to go, and then puts it all together and figures out where to stick it.
Yeah.
Is that the process?
That is the process.
Okay. All right. So let's check out the living room here. So again, no rugs, right?
Right, no rugs. And then again, just clean, simple. I don't have any really clutter out, and
And there's different ways you could probably do this room too, because obviously the way you have it set up with the photograph, or it's not the photograph, the painting above the fireplace, you got a little Christmas decoration there. You have the TV, kind of offset a little bit, but that's because the kitchen and the living room are in the same space, which by the way, is a big deal these days with the open concept of it, right? But you could, if you wanted to, you could maybe adjust where you put the television.
But I think you could, you could possibly put the TV over the fireplace, although it would be kind of high.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the eye line is a little rough for that. So.
But I know, the big living spaces going into the kitchen are really a big deal for people because most of your entertaining happens right here.
So we talked a little bit about not having the countertops cluttered, and as you can see, like we were talking about earlier, we've got your fruit bowl, the one wooden fruit bowl, and you've got the cutting boards behind the stove and the knife, and that's really pretty much it, right?
Yes.
Now you do have the glass cabinetry, so you can see into that. So that's probably an important factor too. Whenever you're putting those things, you don't want just your random dishes.
Right. You got it. Again, it's your look. That's where you're looking.
Right.
Like your looking office. You want to look in. So those are your looking dishes. Although, here's the thing. Whenever you're getting ready to list your house, there are some things that you're going to have to do to, don't leave your toaster out.
Right.
But it's short-lived.
Yeah.
You can still live in your home. During the time, it's just, you might just have to put things away.
Right.
Or pack things up and, just not use them for a while. But you're getting ready to move, so it's all okay.
Right. You can still pull your toaster out. You can use it. You just put it under the counter for a little bit before the showing.
Just put it away.
Now, tell me a little bit about, we didn't talk about this a minute ago, but I want you to show me your checklist. Like you actually have a folder that you give.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, I'm going to show your backyard view a little bit while you grab that, because I think this is one of the great features of your house is you have a fireplace on the back patio. Now in Viridian, some of the lot lines are a little smaller, so you can obviously see that there's a neighbor there, but that little fireplace out there with the seating area, especially, we're in the fall time, fall time, I don't know if that's a word, but we're here during the fall, and being outside and entertaining is definitely a big player, especially in Viridian, because everybody's neighbors are close and friendly. So I think that's a really cool spot. So tell me a little bit about your packet there.
So with all my listings, I give them this home staging guide and checklist. So you've got, from the very beginning, the benefits of staging your home. There's a checklist as far as clean, declutter, depersonalize. And so we go through that. And then we kind of break it down by room. We have kitchen, living room, bedrooms.
It kind of gives you tips for each room, what to have, what not to have.
Dining room, remove extra leaves from the table to make the room appear bigger.
Right.
Remove extra chairs if they crowd the table. And then talking about exterior, repaint or stain the doors, preferably black, red or blue, repaint trim, just all these little ideas.
One of the things I really like that you showed me on that too, on the last, I guess it's one of those last pages, is you actually have like a timeline. Like if you're listing your house, you're showing in an hour, here's what you need to do.
Yeah, this is great. So if you have 10 minutes until a showing and you hopefully you have, more notice than that.
But that happens though.
Yeah, make your bed.
Right.
Throw all the clutter in a laundry basket and take it in your car.
Right.
Put up your show towels. Create light in the house. Turn on all the lights. Empty the garbage. Take it, or even take them with you. It says here. I guess so it doesn't smell it.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, you can put it in your car, but don't leave it there forever, right?
Yeah. Wipe down your countertops, close all the toilet seats, secure your pets, or take them with you. That's another thing, is a pet plan. If you've got pets, that can be a bit challenging. And then it goes from there. If you have an hour into your showing, and then just some additional tips.
Okay. Well, anybody that is looking to stage their house, or stage is the wrong word. If you need an expert opinion on the best way to sell your house for the most money, then staging and design are going to be very important keys to that, right?
Correct.
Okay. So one of the things I always like to do whenever I talk to people is, especially in real estate, because we all have crazy things that have happened to us before, and and interesting little things that come along. So I always ask everybody to share with me like kind of a funny story. Like, so, you know, when you were first getting into it, or you're with a buyer or a seller, obviously we're not going to name any names or anything like that. But I think it's interesting for people to realize sometimes that, you know, the real estate life looks glamorous and wonderful, but there's all kinds of little quirky things that happen. So
absolutely.
What you got?
Whenever I was first in real estate, I was previewing a home. So I was in the home by myself, and I was walking around, and I was in the master bedroom, and there was a cat on the master bed. And
which is not unusual. There's pets in houses all the time.
But it wasn't moving. And so I kind of got a little bit closer and closer, and it was actually a taxidermed
cat.
Cat is, I don't know if that's the proper saying, but it used to be a live cat.
A live cat, right?
Yes, but it was obviously a precious thing to
obviously
the owners, and
yes.
So that was.
So was it in like a certain position,
kind of in the
like rolled up, like it was laying, or
yeah, kind of up by the pillows, headboard, and it was just all curled up and just laying there.
So
you never know what you're gonna see. I have plenty of other stories, but that one came to mind first.
So it's one thing to see someone have their best catch, or you know their deer on the wall or whatever, but I think it's a whole other thing. And by the way, I don't want to give my wife any ideas here because
well, I'm a pet lover too, and we were talking about a pet plan earlier.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yeah. So if you have a stuffed cat that used to be a real cat or a dog, you know, probably not the best thing to leave out. You know, it might make people a little uncomfortable. You know, I'm not sure, but maybe you want to keep that out. Well, Karol-Ann, I really appreciate you talking to me today and going through all this stuff. You know, I think people really need to understand the importance of, yes, you can list your house. You know, anybody can do it, but you're not going to get the most value for your property unless you put it in a light that is attractive to other people, that when they come in, they can see themselves in the home and feel comfortable moving in, because then you want to get into bidding wars. You want to have multiple people offering on your home, so that way you can get the top dollar. And that's where agents like Karol-Ann really come into play, because, you know, it's like, can you fix your toilet yourself? Sure, you can. Is it going to be very good? Maybe not, maybe so. You know, there's a lot of things people can do themselves, but with a professional opinion and a professional eye, you're going to have the best opportunity to get the most amount of value for your home when you sell it, right?
Right.
So don't lose sight of that. Make sure that if you're thinking about selling or you're thinking about buying, you know, find a great agent like Karol-Ann, reach out to them, get their opinion, you know, learn about something that you don't do every day. This is your job. This is what you do day in, day out. You know, you're paying for the expertise, and you don't want to go into a situation like this and leave $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 on the table for a purchase price, just because you didn't want to get a professional opinion. So thank you very much for spending time with me today. I appreciate you letting me into your lovely home, and hopefully by Christmas time you'll have it sold and move on to the next adventure, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks guys. I appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you soon.